am the player Phoenix, and today we're playing something new. It is gonna be Europa Universal 4. It's another great set.
Europa Universalis.
Yes, as you know who that is, welcome back to our one and only teacher to help us is Castle Oblivion.
Hello, I am here to teach you how to play.
It's been a while since we done this, so done a session together, to so to speak. So today he recommended this game to me because it was interesting. Because I'm a history buff as well. He's a history buff as well, and I like to try something new. And this is one recommend. This is basically playing as a Europe nation or whatever nation to explore the history events.
Any nation in the world.
Or make your own alternate.
Or you can make your own. That's true.
So since I have absolutely no experience in this type of game, here's it helped me understand what to do and what should I do.
I have not become a master at this game. This game takes well over 2,000 hours to master. As I know, because one of my friends has like 3,000, 4,000 hours and is still not perfect at this game. It's kind of the hardest Paradox game to get into because of how much there is to it, including the monetary aspect. Because holy bejesus, does this game cost expensive when you look at all the DLCs? And honestly, this game is not worth playing without the DLCs. So at least not most of them.
For me and Castle do a subscription service, which is available. It's available. They did for us, DLC.
$5 a month.
Unless you want to spend $26 a month to get 6 months, that's up to you.
That is true, but $5 a month, it is so cheap compared to the game. Let me think about the math really quick. Let's just say this: for like $200 to $400 worth of DLCs, that's going to take a while for the $5 to add up. So you've at least got a couple years of gaming before the price matches. And honestly, at that point, you could probably have a good decision whether or not you want to just buy all the DLCs.
But also, for a further note, if this is posted on the day I'm hoping to post it, there's a current sale for this game for $10 for the Halloween sale on Steam currently. If this gets uploaded at the time I hopefully want to. If not, it's officially $40 by default. Shockingly.
The base game is 10. Just to emphasize that. Usually it's 40 for now. 40. Yes.
But the DLC makes it for it, but also it has infamous with DLCs. There's a lot of them, but also not a very decently rated decently. Especially the one Leviathan was mostly negative, heavily negative.
Yes, Leviathan was terrible on launch. And here's the thing. It's kind of a bias because when you look at each individual DLC, you're basically looking at a single puzzle piece of a larger puzzle and trying to say how good that single puzzle piece is.
Goddamn fucking puzzle piece.
So yeah, it's a little biased in my opinion. They're always rated lower than I think they actually should be, just because you're literally looking at one piece of the puzzle when you're supposed to have all the pieces. So, unfortunately, the DLC is not really going to be good to check the rating on it. You can look at the DLC rating to see like what their complaints are. But like I said, remember, it's one piece of the puzzle. You're supposed to be looking at a whole fucking picture. So
but also interesting
take that with a grain of salt.
Since the world starts at 1444 AD, which according to Castle, it's end of the third crusade, right? Of the games.
Dark Ages.
The Dark Ages.
It's end of the Dark Ages,
which is the Middle Ages.
This is the point where this is where the Renaissance happens. It hasn't happened yet, but the Renaissance is basically when art and culture explodes. That's a very big simplification. There's literally entire college classes dedicated specifically to this idea. So keep calm. There's a lot to this that we're going through.
The end of this ends at the French Revolutionary. If I show you since the historical start, the Revolutionary France, which
kind
is
of not
end game of this EU4. Then begins
a little bit off.
Victorian games.
Yeah, so a little bit off. So it ends with the industrialization. The industrialization basically being when coal was discovered, when they figured out how to make steam-powered infrastructure started blowing up because of the creation of steam-powered trains. That would be about 1800. I forget the exact number.
So
But
history buffs probably know.
France-
History buffs were not that fanatic history buffs.
Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers. It turns out that having it into every number of every date on every fucking special event in history of the world is kind of difficult.
What you can see here is
but,
actually
yeah, it ends.
We have for mine on the Ottomans. We have Rise of the Ottomans,
Yes.
Empire of the Sand,
The Ottoman Empire.
Kingdom of the East.
I'll explain that part.
Explain those
So-
history starts, but it's based off of history.
Yes.
Before
So
we go nuts.
yes. So as he said, he's playing as the Ottoman Empire. It is known as the easiest empire in the game.
For
The tutorial
newcomers.
empire. It is the greatest thing to start off if you're a newcomer, just because you have a lot of buffer. The Ottomans are already really powerful off the start, and they are just so perfectly set up to be able to expand really easily. But as the Ottomans, you tend to kind of miss about a half of the game because there's the New World.
Which is a DLC.
The Ottomans are in the New World is primarily comprised of DLCs, yes, but in general,
There's New World.
the Ottomans are kind of too far from the New World to be able to colonize it. So the idea of colonization, which is going to be very quickly in the beginning of the game,
for some empires,
is
Some
not
empires
something
don't
that
have
the
the
Ottomans
option.
are going to do. Yes, it's literally just a question of geography. Ottomans is the one that has the least option. I, on the other hand, am playing as Castile. If for those of you that are not history buffs, that is basically the early form of Spain.
And according to him, he's a big enemy with me, but since he's playing now, help us roll.
It's a
Because-
decent enemy if you're trying to protect Morocco. So I'm going to be taking out one of your somewhat threatening nations. But like I kind of hinted to you before this, your two big enemies that you're going to be constantly fighting here throughout the game is Austria to your north and Commonwealth to your north, but in general more Austria.
Because this
And the
becomes Russia,
Mamluks to your
becomes
south.
Russia.
Austria, Russia is a pain in your ass, but not directly your enemy generally,
No. Austria,
because they claim very far south. But that generally your claims and their claims don't actually conflict. It's just that a lot of people playing the Ottoman Empire like to completely control. I think that's the Black Sea,
that is the Black Sea,
which is basically the Gulf of Varna, Eastern Black Sea. Yeah, all of those basically.
Black Sea.
Yeah, a lot of people, as the Ottomans, like to basically fully encompass the Black Sea because it's a pretty good for a trade node, even though it actually is split in half by two trade nodes. But
And
that's
believe it or not,
beside the
the
point. I'll
Black
get into
Sea
that
is
later.
actually not fresh water.
I don't. Yeah, no, it's got a pretty good fucking inlet out to the Mediterranean, which is definitely not fresh water. So that's very believable. So yeah, I'm playing Castile. I'm going to be focusing a lot on obviously colonization, as you do.
I'll also be here to help me since
Yes.
His main reason.
Castile, by the way, is probably the second best. I'll say third best.
His experience and his
tutorial.
experience.
Yes, in my experience, tutorial, and the reason that is because Portugal is the exact opposite of the Ottomans. They focus almost entirely on colonization.
Because
That's
there's
really
so
good for
many
learning
enemies.
specifically colonization. Yes, Portugal. European land is very small, but they colonize like fucking crazy. So they become a very big presence in the New World every time. Castile is a very good mix of both. It's a good mix of obviously warfare in Europe with the Ottomans, with Morocco, like the Ottomans, and Granada and Navarra and such whatnot. But also have very, very powerful influence in the New World.
Indeed.
There are obviously other very big powers of the New World, such as France and Englandia.
Which is England.
Those are two different. Yes, England. Two difficult things because of the fact that you're facing two world power. If you pick either of those, England and France are going to be fighting really hard off the beginning of the game.
Because
Whereas Castile and Portugal. Yes, it is the end of the 100-Year War. So they have beef with each other pretty much through the whole game. So to get to what you were kind of mentioning before, Rise of the Ottomans, Empire of Sands, those are basically the historical starts. It gives you some information on the area that you're playing in. Rise of the Ottomans being Europe. I believe Empire of Sands being to your east, I mean. I believe, like Karakyonlu and Ajam, I believe. Actually, can I check that? Oh, okay. So Empire of Sands would be Africa, I guess, Northern Africa. And then the First Nations. The First Nations is the start for the New World. If you did want to play as a native, it is very difficult. It is not recommended for beginners by any means. But you can.
For my sacred reason, I'm not pronouncing your names because they're really bad. Some people.
Don't try to pronounce names unless you're confident you know how to pronounce them. It's kind of a touchy subject, especially with the recent Inuit revelation, which we'll not get into too much.
Oh, no,
and then I believe kingdoms. We're not getting into that. The kingdoms of the East refer to the Ming Empire, China, Asia in general.
You can see if you're here.
Very important.
I'm showing you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The Ming Empire is a fucking interesting play, just because of how unstable they can be.
Yeah, that's the Ming Dynasty, right?
The Ming Dynasty, yes. We will see that dynasty fall, hopefully. And we will see the Qing Dynasty with a Q, hopefully, like I said, depending on if history fucks itself over again like it did in my last playthrough, which is where somehow Bengal...
Anything can happen, but supposedly, relatively...
It's supposed to keep generally to the real history, but
this is alternate history.
The choices of who goes to war with whom can really, largely impact the world, and it's somewhat random. So, like I was kind of saying before, Poland and Lithuania can make the Commonwealth. Will they? Who fucking knows? So that's obviously a really important history note. Another really important one that we talked about was Austria. Does Austria want to keep Italy under the HRE? If they do, that means that it's going to be very difficult for Italy to form. I don't think that naturally Italy almost ever forms, but just because of how hectic it is over there, it's the same as with Germany. But yeah, generally it starts off the same, but the choices that are made can affect things greatly. Example, my last game literally could not make the United States because we literally could not create the United States because no one colonized the 13 colonies area. The Native Americans confederated too quickly and were basically controlled all of the coastline there before anyone could do anything.
According to him, when they confederate, it's a hell of a beast.
It's hard to push in. Leviathan has fucked around with them a lot in that regard, specifically, making them a lot more powerful and a little more difficult to push out. But me being Spain, I won't have a problem with that. I promise.
So we won't have some. Well, his best option trying to keep it down from confederating, but anything can happen, basically. Yeah,
honestly, the thing that's important for me is I'm not trying to create the 13 colonies. I'm going to be pushing into Caribbean, northern, south, Central America, northern part of South America, the middle Mexico area, and then kind of up the coast there. Whereas usually, historically, Great Britain does, but in this game, who fucking knows? It might be France, it might be Britain, it might be Portugal, who knows?
I'm guessing the next DLC probably with Greenland, I'm guessing.
It's with, I think it's already announced, actually. I'm pretty sure it's Origins. I forget exactly what it is.
That's the one's upcoming for November 11th, precise. It says.
I forget exactly what Origins was going for. It's an immersion pack. Let me just do some very quick research here. Ah, cool. Okay, Origins is going to be messing with Africa. So one of the interesting things,
probably the Bengal jungle, probably cute.
Mostly actually right below the Mamluks. So Ethiopia, Adal, Maharen, etc. is the big one. Otherwise, I think it said that there was some stuff with Mali, but I already clicked out. So whatever. Yeah, doesn't matter. We've been talking a lot. There's a lot of theory in this game.
There's one spot they haven't worked on yet. The Greenland.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much is that, and Greenland there's nothing interesting in Greenland. It's just a territory that is colonized.
But again, it's just that. They're probably saying Iran. There's probably a lot of history there. Probably not. As we know, what we know was probably not much. We don't want to piss somebody off from Greenland. So to speak, because we don't want to do that.
I'm AFK.
Cool. We're just basically explain before we hit the game because It's gonna be something when we hit in game.
Okay, I have returned. Sorry about that. Yes, it's going to be something. It's going to kick off fast and hard. I'm going to be very quickly giving you commands on who you need to attack first, because your number one thing here is Constantinople, which is smack dab in the middle of your fucking territory, and is kind of like a really fucking important historical thing. There's a lot of religious history around your country, by the way, so I'm going to give you a couple choices regarding that as well, with your religious history, because there's a couple choices that can fuck with history. But regardless, shall we begin?
I believe so.
Play. Initializing. Yes.
Like I said before, according to Castle, the games from Paradox Mania are actually in the sleep timeline, except for Stellaris. They're in a timeline.
Yes, so you can go through Crusader Kings 3. If you'd like to read this is a whole lot of filler background to your group. You don't have to read it if you don't want to.
Yeah,
it is a lot of just lore and explaining like specifics about your country. Since we're doing a video, you probably don't want to look at that too much.
Well, I don't care. Depends on how it's interested in me.
Okay. It is interesting. I would recommend it on your own time because there's a lot of reading there.
Oh, yeah, well that. Boy.
Shall I start?
Don't show again, dude.
Oh, by the way, there's like 7 tabs. That's an exaggeration. Let's start. Playing with... Did I start cards?
Playing Victoria cards. Victory cards. It's not still pause.
Oh, well, whatever. We don't have to care.
What's Victoria?
All right, so first and foremost, let's just, right off the bat, we can just fucking fix this. Alliance. Offer alliance. Yes. Please accept that. That just popped up on your notifications bar. Thank you. All right. So now that we can actually fucking see each other, let's get to the important things. First and foremost, rivals. So you see that big red thing that says too few rivals? Click on that.
Where?
Ooh.
Oh, two right there.
All right. So it should have popped up your diplomacy tab. It says diplomacy, yes?
Yep.
Okay. So look down to where it says enemies and rivals.
Yep,
you see that? It should be a couple of shields that look like red, black, and then there's like a bunch of banners. All right, so click on one of those shields that are black and red. It should bring up a country. All right, so click on. This is deciding your rivals. These are basically people that are going to hate you a lot. This is more important than rivals in Stellaris because Stellaris, you can change them a lot easier. This is kind of like your historical rivals are just always going to be the same, more or less. So pick any that have a sword and shield under the rivals column.
They view us as rare rivals. So basically,
do not mark us as rivals, please.
What I see is Austria, England, and Lithuania. So hit one of those shields.
All right. So any one of them that you'd like. Personally, you probably want to do rivals with people who are near you, just because you do get more bonuses against them.
Which we want to go against.
So England, maybe not the best choice. Austria is a definite.
Well,
Mamluks and Austria are the two that you definitely should have.
Oh yeah. I'm busy just looking at these two when they're in my territory right now. Before I go there. One is the, like I said, but the Byzantium. Faster people.
Byzantium. Yes, Byzantium we will get into in a little bit.
So
it's a very important enemy of yours.
So for I'm busy just
now tell me.
I'm trying to just choose a random rival with a shield. Basically.
Yep, pretty much. It's up to you. If you have someone that has that shield and sword thing that you like, or would like to attack or make enemies with, then feel free to tell me, and I can totally be like, yeah, sure.
I'm going to choose Austria.
Austria is a very good choice. Austria is a very good choice because they're going to be fighting you a lot.
Yeah. So
otherwise, I would
choose
say
all three. Choose all three or choose one.
So choose all three. You have to have as many as you can. And it's not like a necessity, but it's very important that you usually do.
shit. I'm all my rifles
Can I
over there
change
now.
Awesome.
Over there.
Okay.
Nice.
So let me just take a peek at you. Who did you decide here? Austria, England, and Lithuania. Fair enough. Lithuania is not a terrible choice at all. If you had the option for the Mamluks, I would have taken Mamluks over Lithuania, but that's up to you. So, good on you.
So don't judge
Now,
me.
tell me what. No, that's fine. It's fine. So what are the rest of your tags up there saying? Just hover over it and tell me what it says.
You have free advisor spots. Trace will expire.
Okay.
And national
Truce will
decisions available. National decisions available.
National decisions. Click on that, please.
Right. Ready.
All right. So national decisions. It's kind of an important thing. This is unique away from Stellaris. Stellaris doesn't really have these decisions as much. You can definitely take a look at that. Sorry, something just pinched me. You can take a look at that, see what you can do. If you are able to, can you show me your screen via Discord?
No, remember no effect.
Yeah, okay, fine.
No.
Okay, I would love to see what you see, but that's all right. Regardless, decisions are kind of like the big changers that is unique to your government. Example for me, the green ones are the really important ones, by the way. So if you do have any green ones, that's really important. For me, I have formed the Spanish nation, either diplomatically or militarily. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's unimportant.
For mine, I have adopted
basically
Khalifa, de-announced a
good.
set of particles, enforce religious unity, and expand the diverse system. And
All right, so do you see any that have the little...
Green one right here is like Unify Islam. Adopt
Unify Islam is so difficult.
Adopt Provost governance system. Establish Ibn Kaha. Found Indian trade company. Fund Indian trade company. State a free arm regime. That's all.
Yes. So we are not worrying about unifying Islam. That's like a whole fucking war goal in and of itself. Dear God. If you have any that have a green envelope lit up, tell me what they are.
For the Almonds to get the title of Khalifa, we're given a following effects. Yearly passage to 0.0.50. Move 100.
Say again?
Ottomans get the Khalifa until the death of Merlin II, 5th Osman going, giving the following effects. Yearly passage 0.50.
Prestige
to 0.50.
Okay.
And move, and below it says move 10 going towards the legalism.
Legalism. Okay. So you can click that decision. We'll get into what you just mentioned. Your religion is Sunni. You have a thing called piety. If you'd please hit your country's flag in the top left corner, and then go to the religions tab.
There we are.
All right, so you have two options: mysticism and legalism. What that basically is how pious you are, how stern you are to the faith, not allowing heretics, etc. I will stand by it. You can feel free to disagree with me. Legalism is so much more superior. Just in general. And you will always get events saying basically like, oh, hey, we have, or you could take this and gain legalism, or take this and gain mysticism. I would say almost always just take legalism if you can afford it, basically.
Oh, so basically,
eventually, yes, and you will be able to use piety actions. I forget what the mysticism one is because I never use it, but the legalism one is to get rid of corruption, which is really powerful because it just so happens that if you wanted to get a fuck ton of free money, you can debase your currency to corruption, and then you can immediately use the piety interaction to get rid of that corruption. So you basically just got free money. It's pretty good. But regardless, that's really complicated. So that's pretty much what we'll leave it at. In general, you're going to want to be watching for legalism, though. That's kind of your job.
So basically, leads towards the legalism.
Legalism, yes. Legalism basically being word of law. you are following your piety well, essentially. I'll get into more with your religion because there is some unique stuff. I am Catholic. Go figure. Turns out, like, I think 90% of Europe is Catholic. Yeah, if you go to the religious view, it is basically Catholicism, Orthodoxy, and Sunni. I would like to mention that only two territories. Only 2 territories in the entire game have the Jewish religion, and it is actually kind of difficult to make them prosper, but not possible.
Which I mentioned.
It is in Ethiopia.
Land I have, and one of the lands near this too is I see the flag. I think, or it could be something different.
You probably don't. Yeah, I think the only people are Ethiopia, which is south of Mamluks.
All right. Okay.
They actually just did a recent update on that. But regardless, that's just an interesting fact if you were interested. Is that, yeah.
So what's next?
They are there. So, you already did your, your decisions, correct?
I already did one of them.
So that flag is no longer there?
Only did
what is the other one that's lit up?
I have 3 check marks of green. That is to denounce the state of particles, enforce religion unity, and expand the government system for natural decisions. Are my 3.
You can probably just do all 3 of those. I don't think any of those are negative in any way.
We gotta read them. Boost 100 military power always get to do until the end of the given following effects. Natural main power modified by 10%.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
And we have Ottomans gets enforced unity until death until Mehmed II. Given the following effects: missionary strength versus heretics are 2.0%. And the last one gives us a unite till death again, giving the following effects: natural unrest negative 1.0. That's all my decisions.
Right. I'm gonna give you an IRL decision.
Okay.
There's something important that the Ottomans kind of do, and that's guarantee dhimmi autonomy. So, if you'd please click on your on the Estates tab, the last tab there.
Estate. Okay.
Yes. So you should have 4, correct?
And so you need 4
green. 4 green things.
Yes.
Okay. So these change based on the culture. Example, mine is called the clergy, the nobility, and the burghers. Yours should be the Umera, the dhimmi.
Merchant guild, and
okay. So, just to keep it really quick, the one that has that iron gauntlet is mine is called the nobility. That basically determines your manpower and your military abilities. The clergy, or in yours, I forget what it's called, but the ones that look like praying hands, determines how much tax you have or you get, and determines how good you are at converting religion in your territories. The one that looks like a little sack, the merchant guilds, I think that yours was called, is very self-explanatory. They do trade. And then the dhimmi. The dhimmi is a unique one to you. The dhimmi are basically the Christians in your country. Because in real life, yes, so in real life, the Ottomans basically took a crap ton of land from the Christians, and from what I understand, basically in retaliation of the Crusades. Don't quote me, but that's basically how I understand it. If you'd actually go down by your little map in the bottom right and look for, let's see, which one is it under? Political map modes. It's the little thing that looks like a bookshelf almost. Right above your map. It should be a blue button. You hover over it, says political map modes. Click that.
Map modes. Gotcha. Change the map mode.
You see
political, imperial, religious, ultra religious, metropolitan.
Religious, please.
Religious.
Yes. So you're going to be going through map modes decently quickly. This is how you check what religions there are. Now, here's an important one. If you see stripes over somewhere, that means that territory is a religion that differs from the states. So, if you'd zoom in a little bit here on your territories, you'll notice that there's a lot of Orthodox near you. And I think a little bit of Catholic, but no, regardless. There's a lot of Orthodox near you. And you have a choice. Do you respect your previous administration's decisions and keep the Christians' rights and allow them to exist? Or do you go back on them and just convert everyone to Islam?
Because in my real judgment, I'm a Lutheran, so as expected, but for game reasons.
Oh, of course. Everything here is done in the game. There is slave trade in here, and you have the option to or to not abolish it. That is not a decision based on our moral ethics. This is a decision purely of the country we're playing as.
But if we're gonna do
it does not represent what we believe.
I'm going to do Islam.
You're going to choose Islam. All righty dight. Now for the fun thing. Go to your Dimi in the estates. You see how there's that little hand holding something?
Yeah.
Click on that, and it should pop up a yes or no. It should be. It should.
Privilege. That'll be cancel or okay. Basically.
So basically, that right there is a estate decision. Estate decisions are basically things that you grant to your estates so that they like you more, or so that they give more influence, so that they give you stuff more. Guaranteeing Dini autonomy is one that makes it so you cannot convert Christian culture, Christian religions, and the Dini like you more. Otherwise, if you
5%, give me influence is 5%, max absolution, -5.
Absolutism.
On revoking privilege, your estate loyalty reduced by 20.
Yes. So it'll give you a whole bunch of negative effects if you get rid of that, but it allows you to spread Islam.
So hit okay. Hit okay then, right?
Then okay. Now, it is just a little bit harder now for you. Just a little, until you get that under control. Because if you go to your religions tab, please. All right. Do you see that little heart icon next to I'm sorry, a heart plus like a cross? I think is
94%. Yes.
Yes. So that would have been 100% until you made that decision. Because guaranteeing Dini autonomy means you're allowing them to exist, and they don't count towards your religious unity. Religious unity basically determines how religion is unified in your country. Self-explanatory. Having high religious unity is very good. Having low religious unity, not very good. So, having decided that, you should have gotten a new pop-up in your notifications. Yes.
You can. What I got is that you can convert Polvix to Sun. That's what I had.
Yes. You can so click on that. You can convert provinces to Sunni.
Did I hit the convert button? I'll check it.
Okay, so basically, this is the part that I'm going to have a little trouble describing because I don't remember exactly what it looks like. There should be a tab somewhere there that looks like a little hourglass. It should be next to or above a whole bunch of like numbers in a row. Yes.
There's a chance of the air. What I have. Now what I have here, I have the chance of the air, collaborate interracial rates, tolerance 4.0, tolerance on historical beliefs -1.0.
Okay, so that you're looking high. So you see where that whole list of like province names is, and how it says like Orthodox, and then it's like a like 0.26 or something.
Yeah, Shema Orthodox. Yep, right on there.
Okay, so look at the top of that table. There should be one that kind of looks like an hourglass.
I want one for mine. Right there, hourglass, right there. Sort by time. It'll take.
Yes, sort by time.
Gotcha.
So that the way you should really decide what I almost say the fucking C word every time. What territories you want to convert is based on how long it takes to convert them, because you want to hit the shorter ones first to get your religious unity up quicker.
So the shortest one would be Orthodox.
Yep. Start converting whatever that province is, whatever that religion is.
So from top to bottom, or
from top to bottom, the number that is smallest that says time required, whatever, to convert.
We have Sevalia Shauna. This is to Shina, where 92 is the shortest one.
All right, then do that one.
So
I didn't understand a single word you said because you butchered every name in that list, but it's okay.
So I should hit Shina.
Huh? Click the Shia. Yeah.
Shia.
So Shia is a type of Islamic as well. So you are Sunni, so yes, you definitely want to hit that. Get rid of that. You would be able to actually get rid of that regardless. Just so you know, that is just something you gotta get rid of.
All right, so missionary. Okay.
Now you should have 2, or do you only have 1?
I have 1 of Shina.
Okay, so let's go now that you've gotten a little bit of stuff set up to look at it.
Unrest is now.
Yep, unrest is going to happen anytime you convert a province. It turns out that forcing someone to change their religion makes people upsetty spaghetti. Go figure. You're going to have zealots pop up every once in a while. In fact, the biggest difficulty, honestly, in a lot of ways with the Ottomans, for a new player at least, is controlling your rebellions, because you're going to have a lot of them. It turns out that whenever you convert people, they get upset, and if they can take too long to convert, they're probably going to have a religious rebellion. It's not usually that difficult. It's just a pain in the dick when you're trying to move all of your soldiers into a war, and then suddenly, oh hey, Shiite zealots are fucking making a scene. Because every territory they make, that turns back into Shia. Or the religion related to whatever their rebellion is. As well as separatism. Every time you conquer a location, hey, turns out they don't like that. They want to go back to who they went with. So they're probably going to try to revolt.
Yeah.
So now that I've gotten through all of that, let's look up at the top at our resources. First and foremost should be treasury.
Yep.
Yes?
Yes, it is.
Self-explanatory, very simple. That's how much money you have. It's kind of like entry credits in Stellaris. That is basically the only true resource you have.
And besides manpower.
So, yeah, manpower is not quite the same as a resource, but it works. Manpower is literally just how many people are on standby in your country that are ready to be drafted for you.
Yeah, but I have...
You are going to be worrying about manpower a lot. Manpower should be one of the deciding factors of, am I ready to go to war? Because if you have near max manpower, maybe about half manpower, you can go to war.
The maximum is 33,752. I have 7,382.
I would wait a little bit before going to war, but you don't have to wait too long. What did you say it was? 32,000?
33, that's my maximum. What I have is 7,382.
So I would wait for your current
5 each month.
Okay, so I would wait until you get about 10,000 before you do your first war, and I'll tell you who that is. For you, sailors. Well, honestly, in general, I don't think the sailors. Sailors is supposed to be
months.
Yeah. So sailors is supposed to be basically the manpower of the sea. But I don't quite find it nearly as useful because you don't really have to worry about it as much because they don't drain nearly as quickly as manpower. So you shouldn't have to worry about that. Next, stability. Stability is kind of an important one, although it's not a resource. It's a plus minus. If you would please click on the flag of your country and go to stability and expansion. It looks like a flag with a crown next to it.
Gotcha.
Stability and expansion. This is basically the screen that you're going to be looking at to make sure your country is not shitting itself. You should have the disaster known as the Janissary coup, correct?
Yep.
Hover over that. Okay. So that's basically something you have to avoid. That's going to fuck you up. It's kind of like a personal crisis almost from Stellaris. If that makes sense.
Which is not going to happen since I'm still in the age of discovery.
Yes. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but I'm not even going to let you get that disaster, so we don't have to worry about that one. Meanwhile, I have 3.
Then we have war exhaustion, which is different.
Yes, war exhaustion is something you're going to have to worry about. War exhaustion is exactly what it sounds like, but it's not the same as it is in Stellaris. War exhaustion is basically how much your populace is just done with being at war.
Mine's max at 20.
You're 20 out of 20?
I'm 0 out of 20.
Good. Okay, you should be at 0 out of 20. I was going to say, you're already fucking dying cool. You want it as low as you can. When you start a war, it should probably be at 0, unless you're absolutely certain it's going to be a quick war. Because war exhaustion is the thing that hurts you the most in wars.
Especially in this one.
Under that is stability. You see how it's like a 0 with 2 arrows on it and then like 3 squares next to it?
Yep.
So basically, if the boost button is blue, click it once.
So when we hit it now?
Yes. So now you should have +1, correct?
+1 stability, yes.
Awesome. You should never be below +1. Your job is to keep your stability at least +1. Or else stability affects a whole heck of a lot. It affects unrest, which means it affects how often you get revolts. It affects your taxes. It affects your missionaries. It affects your corruption. It affects your institutions. It affects
everything.
Almost all of the most important shit that you need to worry about in the game.